Hello, my name is Taylor, and today I would like to discuss two famous ethical theories, utilitarianism and Kant's moral ethical theory. Jeremy Bentham was a British philosopher of late 18th, early 19th century. He is known as the founder of modern utilitarianism. John Stuart Mill was also a famous 19th century philosopher writing about utilitarianism. Classic utilitarianism is a pleasure and happiness theory. Those are the intrinsic goods. In other words, they are good in themselves. So according to this theory, we seek anything else only because it leads to pleasure or happiness. In Mill's words, happiness is a pleasure and absence of pain. Then unhappiness would be absence of pleasure and presence of pain. It's quite simple. This theory has a very rational approach, and I sometimes refer to it as a math of happiness because it uses a lot of calculations. Basic principle of utilitarianism is known as principle of utility or principle of greatest happiness. We are out to do that which produces the greatest amount of happiness or pleasure for the greatest amount of people. In other words, this principle is about maximizing happiness. Greatest happiness principle is also known as consequentialism. In this theory, actions are good or right only if they produce good results or happiness. Of course, happiness has many degrees to it, and calculating the greatest amount of pleasure is challenging. One example might be choosing a house for your large family to live in. You like house A, but your spouse likes house B. Moreover, none of your 10 kids like house A. What if buying house A would make you happy, and your spouse wouldn't really be hurt by it? He or she likes house B more, but doesn't mind living in house A. House A would win because it would bring greatest good. It will make you very happy and will result in no pain on your spouse's part. But what if your 10 children absolutely hate house A, and choosing it will actually bring them pain? Now, pain of 10 people overweights your pleasure. House B wins. On the other hand, what if living in house A will bring you a huge amount of happiness, while all your children will get just a little bit of pain? Now your happiness weighs more than their pain. Even though 10 people get hurt by living in this house, their pain seems small compared to your huge happiness. Plus, you can say that you will be happy for the rest of your life if your family will buy house A, and your kids will eventually get used to it. This way, your happiness will last longer, and their pain will be short-term. You can also argue about the quality of happiness, its likelihood, and many other factors. As you can see, equation is not so simple after all. Nevertheless, in overall, in utilitarianism, you should strive for a result that would bring the most happiness. Next is Kantian ethics. Immanuel Kant was also a 19th century German philosopher who is widely known to be a central figure of modern philosophy. He believed that our ability to reason is what makes us humans. Therefore, we, as rational beings, can reason that it is good to do good things, and as a result, it's our duty to do good. But how would one know if something is good or bad? Kant had an answer for it and proposed something called categorical imperative, which is a central concept of his theory. He, unlike Mill, believed that consequences are not as important as motives behind actions. We can't always control consequences of our actions, and sometimes things don't quite turn out the way we intended. On the other hand, our motives can be controlled, and we are responsible for them. According to Kant, act has a moral worth only if it was done with the right intention, or if there was a good will. And having the right intention is to do what is right, or in Kant's words, it is to act on duty. So, categorical imperative is used to evaluate a moral motivation of action. It is a principle by which we can determine what is right and what is wrong. Kant came up with 3 rules which person can use to determine whether action is good or bad. First maxim or principle that he offered is a principle of universality. Act only on that maxim that you can will as a universal law. This is a little confusing. What Kant meant by this is that you can know if something is morally right only if you can apply it to everyone. Just imagine what will happen if every person around you would do the same. Let's look at an example. You're driving and you are running late. There are no other drivers around you and you see that there are many stop signs on your way. You decide not to stop at any of them and keep driving at 60 miles per hour even though the speed limit is 30. You're in a hurry and you're not hurting anyone. But what if you will imagine that everyone will start ignoring stop signs and driving fast, paying no attention to speed limit? Roads will turn to a complete chaos and it will be dangerous to drive. Therefore, ignoring such driving laws is not right. The second maxim offered by Kant is asking us to treat other humans as an end and never as a mean. Kant believed that every human being was to be treated the same. We all have our own reason. We are autonomous. In other words, we have our own intrinsic rules and laws. We are self-ruled. We have our own plans, our own goals and dreams, our own lives. So it would not be right to use a person as a thing. Kant wanted us to look at people as of having value in themselves. Let's go back and look at our example. You're late, remember? But before you can get to the place where you need to be, you have to stop at the store. Now imagine yourself standing in a long line and it is moving very slow. Of course you're getting a little angry. Can this cashier work faster? It's their job after all. Kant would remind you to think about this person as of a human being, not a robot scanning your groceries. What if this person had a very sick child at home, and this is all they can think about right now? Or what if they had a terrible back pain after standing there for a whole day? What if it was this pain that was preventing them from scanning items faster? Don't use people. Maybe you can spare 2 extra minutes. Finally, the third maxim is autonomy, and by this Kant meant that we should consider ourselves to be authors of the law, of both universal laws and laws to ourselves. This can be a little confusing. So once again, Kant saw humans as rational beings with a sense of law and duty. We have moral laws within us and we should follow those intrinsic laws. We also have a power to imagine those laws to be universalized. Therefore, we should follow only those laws that can be acceptable even if everyone else around us would do the same. We should do what is our obligation as a reasonable member of society. So we can look at both laws within us, intrinsic laws, or universalized laws. So we just looked at the 3 maxims of Kant's moral theory. Now let's try to apply both theories, utilitarianism and Kant's moral theory, to a life situation. Imagine yourself living in a small city where people are experiencing a breakout of a deadly disease. People around you are dying. And you know that one of the pharmaceutical companies in your city owns a vaccine to save thousands of lives. However, this company asks for $1 billion for it. No one has this kind of money, and there is no one to help you. You can gain an access and steal vaccine if you kill a guard. What will you do? With the utilitarian approach, you will be required to kill a guard and steal vaccine because this will save thousands of lives in the cost of 1 life of a guard. Happiness will outweigh pain. On the other hand, Kant would argue that murder and theft are always wrong and you should not attempt to steal vaccine. What if everyone else will start stealing and murdering others? How can you use this guard as a means to get access to vaccine? Isn't he a human being with his right to live? This is a very extreme example, and making such choices is tough. As you can see, both theories have different approaches and give very different answers. What choice will you make? Thank you for your attention. Bye!